I'm Dennis Kuntz from the BIC. I've only been at the BIC since January. Welcome to the BIC's Luncheon. I think this is our 10th anniversary luncheon, so it's a really special event. I hope you all will enjoy our workforce development panel discussion. I'm going to turn to my panelists and let them individually introduce themselves. So, Vilas, would you like to start?
Yes. Good morning. Good morning. This is Vilas Paul, Professor of Chemical Engineering at Purdue University. I have a research group of a dozen plus people. They work on various battery technologies that include lithium-ion batteries and its safety. Beyond lithium-ion, there is a lot of work on sodium-ion, potassium-ion, solid-state batteries, lithium-sulfur batteries. We also work on low-temperature batteries, particularly that those batteries can operate at ultra-low temperature, minus 100 degrees Celsius and below. We do have a Guinness World Record. In 2022, we are the first one to develop electrolyte that could work at minus 100 degrees Celsius. Currently, our batteries are working very happily at minus 120 degrees Celsius. The goal is to go to Mars and Moon and take our batteries without heating coil and cooling coil on the top of the battery. So those are the thirst in the area, and I will be happy to answer your questions.
Hi everybody, I'm Dave Tucker. I'm Vice President for Workforce Development and Community Services at Vincennes University. Really glad to be here. We've been partnered with the BIC for a number of years on a variety of projects. We have some geographical similarities down there in southern Indiana, but similar to the BIC, our mission is statewide, and our goal is to serve you wherever you are. VU's real niche is in technician training. So unlike our sister research and development institutions, we, like Ivy Tech, really focus primarily on technicians, which is that level immediately above your entry level, and we've been doing that for years. We try to be flexible, we try to be adaptable to whatever your specific needs might be, and what we're seeing is that, you know, as the technology really emerges, the jobs are starting to emerge, and what we really could use help from employers on is exactly what do you need for your technicians to be successful. And so one of the things that we do is kind of match up what's the job description, what are the competencies, what are the tasks, and how do we craft what we already do and match that up with things that we need to learn some things on, and particularly in partnership with the BIC. So on behalf of Vincennes University, glad to be here and look forward to visiting with you more today and hopefully working with you in the future.
Hi, I'm Mark Vasso, the head of business development for the Energy Skills Institute. Our North American office is based in Boston, and it was set up about 4.5 years ago. Our roots are a European company. We're a skills and training provider that's really, our vision is to equip the global workforce for the energy transition. We started and developed content for a focus on batteries and storage 4 years ago, and it was part of an effort and a need we recognize to build the talent pipeline for this emerging focus toward electrification, both in transportation and other areas. Today we have 400 hours of asynchronous online content. We've kind of focused in the context of offering micro-credentials in small bursts of courses that can be as little as 2 to 3 hours, up to 50 or 100 hours if you're getting to the more expert area as well. The content is across the value chain, so there's the content courses relevant to mining and materials all the way through to Second Life and recycling. The battery tech and entry level is a really big focus, and we do and offer this through teaming, through partnership. Proud to be now a new partner with the BIC here in Indiana, have partners with community colleges in Michigan as part of a network there in New York, and now expanding in other parts of North America, including Canada in Mexico. So excited to share more, but very, very excited about the progress here, the incredible momentum, and what we've learned, if anything, through the work that we started in Europe when Europe was a little farther ahead a few years back now, U.S. catching up with the Inflation Reduction Act, is that you have to start earlier, you have to build that infrastructure, and you need to be listening to the customer, ultimately the industry, to help design and support the things that they're going to need. And a lot of that, some of it's proprietary, understandably, but a lot of it, the 80%, is stuff that's just basic awareness and knowledge around those that have a huge opportunity to join the industry and make a really big difference in this energy transition that's emerging, happening, and happening quite fast, and certainly happening with great speed and momentum here in Indiana. So glad to be here today.
Hi, good morning. My name is Katie Lohman, and I am the Vice Chancellor for Ivy Plus Career Link, which is workforce development and career coaching for the Kokomo service area. So I represent Ivy Tech Community College, and we have many folks in the room that are with Ivy Tech. Ivy Tech is the largest singly accredited community college in the U.S. We have 19 campuses across the state and represent each of our counties. With Ivy Plus Career Link, we represent the workforce development, where we work with our employer partners to upskill, to work with them on customized trainings and whatever the workforce needs are. In our service area, we do have Star Plus, which is the joint venture between Samsung and Stellantis. And so we work very closely with them, and we'll talk more about that today with you. Thank you.
Great, thank you for those introductions. So I've got a few questions. I actually provide these to the panelists, except for Mark. So Mark's not prepared, but hopefully these are not too difficult of questions. To tee up the first question, I do want to say, I think the Department of Energy Battery Workforce Initiative has estimated there's 102,000 workers in the U.S. for the battery industry that need to be trained. I think here in Indiana, I think we are estimating at least 3,000 workers need to be trained. I think I got these numbers from you before, Mark. I think there are at least 7 gigafactories scheduled to be constructed here in Indiana by 2030, if not sooner. So there's a lot of training. So with that in mind, let me ask the first question. What are the key workforce development challenges specific for the battery industry? So anybody want to take that one on?
So in the Kokomo service area, some of the challenges that we're seeing are and Mark talked about this a little bit, but what the curriculum looks like and what that's going to look like across the board, and how do we make that curriculum so across the United States, across Indiana, it is similar or the same. And so with Star Plus, we're working with them on a technician training that we're turning into an apprenticeship. We're also working on the midterm with an operator training where they're actually on our campus today doing training. And then eventually we'll work with engineering and things like that to be able to provide training. So I think across the board, looking at that curriculum in all of those areas, being able to provide that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I would say the other thing that people outside of your industry don't understand are all of the subcategories that are within battery. So most of the policymakers and funders and decision makers that aren't familiar with batteries, they just hear batteries, and so they throw in batteries and electric vehicles kind of into this big catch-all category, and they're like, well, we'll just kind of fund that kind of those kinds of things. And I think what we discovered in a pretty extensive project with the BIC as we developed this battery technician program, training program, was that there are some very specific areas that I think we need to move forward to and develop the curriculum on. And so there's the battery manufacturing and packaging, which is one very kind of distinct area of curriculum. There seems to be another area which is kind of the testing and quality control area set of jobs. We know there are going to be a bunch of jobs around electric vehicles, and we're excited that Toyota, which is just down the road from us, and we do tons of training with them, have announced the addition of their electric vehicle manufacturing. And then there's everything associated with charging, which is much more of a construction type job. So we think curriculum is very important, and also dialing in the specific curriculum for specific jobs.
Yeah, there is also a significant need to have a good interaction or bridging between academia and industry that is still lagging behind. Academia is going with its own space and industry is going in a different route. We should have more bridging, really created people for their workforce. Otherwise, there is a mismatch. University go on teaching fundamental and industry wants a lot of applied folks giving hints and working day-to-day life, really making the batteries. In order to do that, significant bridging is important.
Let me go ahead and go to another question, and this one actually, I probably directed to you initially, Mark, but I would like to see everybody else's thoughts on it on the panel. The question is, what emerging technologies or advancements in training methods are most promising for developing a skilled battery workforce?
Well, yeah, I think one of the things, our roots, I mentioned, were Europe, and we're a pan-European company, started in 2010, private company with shareholders, but also stood up a bit as a private-public partnership. One of the things we've done in building the ecosystem was to launch in 2017 something called the European Battery Alliance, and from really day one recognized that the talent shortage and the skills needs were going to be a gating item or a barrier to the progress against the goals toward electrification, that was set as a vision, and most visions are set by 2030, but that's kind of around the corner now. So, but I think one of the things that was recognized there was that the training aspect was going to be critical, and that you're going to need to start very early, in addressing that, right? So I think part of what we did initially was develop content in partnership with some of the higher education institutions and institutes in Europe, and it was all in person and classroom based. COVID kind of changed that too, but that also created the opportunity to say, well, to reach more people and to achieve this kind of scale, where even in Europe, the government officials are saying that 70% of factories that are on the table and drawing board are getting delayed, and most of those delays are coming from skills related issues. And you've even seen those announcements in the US around pushing dates out because of the lack of the talent pipeline. This asynchronous, online, self-paced learning, micro-credential, and then teaming up and supporting or complementing the needs that are critical and important in a lab experience or in an in-person experience, I think creates a really nice blend. The second is we also have a partnership with a VR training company that is also moving more deeper into this space, having worked in semiconductors and other manufacturing kind of environments, and that VR experience can both serve a need around career exploration and exposure to what you would do in a typical environment, say a gigafactory, but also allow for some training that leads to some of the important critical issues like battery safety, right? I mean, some of these things, if you can see a battery blow up on a VR screen, that's a little safer than the alternative. So I think this blend of and options around the various media to do this training and to do it in real time and create that flexibility, I think creates a really nice opportunity. Finally, I think employers can be prefer to get as much as they can out of training in the shortest possible time, and I think this also kind of creates that opportunity for flexibility in terms of doing that, and knowing that the opportunities to iterate and develop content. We even use AI to help with courses and other things that can allow for quick presentation of things, can create experiences that can accelerate the training needs.
And if I could just pitch in on that, I mean, what we at Vincennes hope to do is to combine, what Inno does on the online training with the appropriate amount of hands-on training. And we're always trying to strike that balance. We know that it's hard for you to give up employees to go to training. We hope that you're willing to give them up for 3 days to come to Vincennes in June, but that'll be combined with online instruction before and online training after. So we're always trying to strike that balance, particularly in technical jobs where there is that kind of in-class piece, that piece that you can learn virtually, but you're never going to be able to certify a person, say in soldering, without having them actually solder. And some of those hands-on skills, you've got to be able to verify that a technician has those before we send them to the production floor.
One of the things that we've done at Ivy Tech is we have been able to get the equipment from Korea. So with the joint venture between Samsung and Stellantis, we were able to get 4 kits that consisted of PLCs, sensors, pneumatics, and sensoring, and sensors. And we brought those over, and those are in Ivy Tech's lab. We have it in our Industry 4.0 lab, and we were able to take that equipment, start to create the curriculum. We also had Korean educators come over that also work with Star Plus, with Samsung, and they worked with our faculty members to really start to look at what is their curriculum, what is our curriculum, and how do we integrate that to be more of what Star Plus is looking for. With that equipment, because Star Plus is still building, they are able to get their technicians over to Ivy Tech, work on our equipment, start to build the modules, and they're starting to assess their employees on our equipment because that's what we have, and they're still building. It's been a great partnership, and we continue that partnership, and we've done that for the last couple of years.
At Purdue, I do teach myself energy storage systems class, where lots of fundamentals are taught in the beginning of the semester. But towards the end of the semester, the students are getting hands-on experiences. Most of the students land at Battery Innovation Center and Crane, Indiana, and many other places. So actually, indeed, one should start percolating the battery knowledge as early as possible, university level. Later, you can generate the technicians. But as you know, battery science and technology is very, very complex. Just knowing little bit superior thing is not enough. You really need to know how battery works, how it functions. And if you know that, and that has to be done by academia, if you know that very well, then those people will be very successful to really make the batteries. They are safer and worthwhile to make in US.
Great. I'm going to ask one more question for the panel, and then I want to let you guys out there in the audience think about it. I want to open it up, see if there's any burning questions from the audience, and we'll have a runner bring a mic to you, and if you ask a question, please identify who you are and where you're from, so we all get to know everyone better. So my perhaps last question, because I need to wrap up here fairly quickly, is how important is collaboration between industry, academia, and government in battery workforce development? So anyone want to take that one on?
I could start, maybe just share one example. I think it's really critical, and I think this is where you get the most acceleration and support, in this. I mean, in the U.S., there's batteries, there's about a dozen states that are very, very focused, like Indiana, building a battery hub, right? One example we have where we've partnered and supported the partnership is in New York. Binghamton University is leading the charge to create something called New Energy New York. It was a Build Back Better stimulus supported Department of Commerce effort to build more manufacturing innovation and attract innovation and build workforce development. We're the support and the content support for the workforce development. In 1 year, through partnerships and a coalition that they have built with local NGOs, community colleges, voc tech schools, even high schools around this workforce piece, they've been able to expose and access and get trained more than 1,200 people across various different needs, right? And they've done that by blending and adding some of the content that they they're expert in, but also adapt it and make it accessible to these different kind of audience. I think their effort to sort of bring all those folks to the table and learn and understand what's needed and then work together to make that happen, I think makes for a stronger community, makes for an ability to support sometimes the people in the community that are underserved or don't have access to the same levels of employment as others, and really kind of move the bar kind of forward as well. And obviously a lot of this work, particularly in the U.S. and other places, is helped supported by the federal and state government initiatives, and it provides a bit of a jump start, but ultimately it's industry that needs to take the lead and make it go forward. So we see a lot of impact in positive ways by working in a collaborative format. And again, we're not the trainers on the ground. We're the ones who can help support and provide, and connect to those that ultimately know the customer, the learner, the best, and want to make sure that they're addressing those needs as specifically as possible.
When we look at our electronics technician program that we have at Vincent's University, it's about 80% of what you in the battery world need. But when you ask about what we need collaboratively, we really need your help on that remaining 20%. It's what's most critical to you and the jobs that you have open, and it's what we need to kind of fill out a curriculum that's totally appropriate for those jobs. The other thing that I would say is that academics like us can go talk to policymakers, and we can go talk to K through 12 superintendents and principals and students and their families and tell them, hey, there are jobs out there. Hey, there are great opportunities out there. And they nod their heads and say yes. But when employers show up and say, I've got a great job for you, look at what my company does. And you guys across the board do such wonderful, innovative work that when young people and their families see what you do, they get excited about it. And when they see the kind of paychecks that they can that they can earn when they do it. And then when you tell them, hey, look, we'll help you participate in getting your education, either through an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree or higher, that even entices them more to be drawn towards this industry.
I think it's important to piggyback off that, knowing what those job descriptions look like, so that as we're building that talent pipeline, that we are able to work with our schools. At Ivy Tech, we're doing smart manufacturing digital integration in our high schools, and that is one pathway that will help lead to the battery plant and other manufacturers. We have many tiered suppliers in the Kokomo service area, but I think it's also important to understand from a manufacturing standpoint, working with our workforce boards is really important. They've been able to help drive some of the funding and being able to upskill with that funding or do apprenticeship work. And so working with them, one of the grants that was written was a USDOL grant for infrastructure. And so we've been able to partner on that, and we have a great relationship between Ivy Tech, our manufacturers, and our workforce board.
Actually, that is the most important question that will answer actually why in United States we are not making our own batteries yet. If you look at the developing countries or developed countries where they are leading the battery science and technology, China, South Korea, Japan. Actually, it is starting from the government. Government sets the goal, academia follows it, and then indirectly they create a labor force. So actually it should percolate from top to down, not down to up. That is the way it should happen here. Today we have difficulty here, even we have to buy the equipment from different countries, they make it, or they can make the batteries, but the manuals are in their language, we cannot read it even. So we have so many difficulties. So it should really percolate. Government should set the goal. We are the first one to make the sodium ion batteries, bring it to the market. And then we should be focusing, doing work on that. Otherwise there is a lot of mismatch. And last 10, 15 years, we are trying to figure out what is the mismatch. But the mismatch is really it should start from the central with the order, do this, and we want to lead it. Otherwise, forever we will be taking somebody else's batteries, assembling it, and using it, leaving behind everyone.
So, Les Alexander, CEO of the BIC, can the panel discuss how STEM education folds into this?
So I know with Ivy Tech, we're working with the Battery Innovation Center and our jobs, our JAG programs, Jobs for Americans graduates, and we are going to be doing a STEM camp around battery, and so we're working on that through the summer to be able to provide that to also our diverse students, at-risk students, and so that's one thing we're doing. We also, as stated, offer that smart manufacturing digital integration with our pathways that are out of schools, so looking at some of those pathways that will lead into our manufacturers is one way that we are doing it.
Can mention briefly, we're also recognizing this early need to build this awareness as well. We launched a Minecraft game called Green Energy City, which is a little bit of a gamification way to get exposed to, learn about batteries and play, and it has even a bit of solar content as well. So something that can appeal to younger ages and audiences to be kind of aware of the space. And then I think the other one to mention is the opportunity to adapt some of this content and make it available to younger audiences as well. And New Energy New York, building the battery hub, has already run last summer a couple of camps for middle school students that were where some of this content was used to build awareness for what's coming and what a battery is and those types of things to kind of get people excited about career opportunities and where this industry is headed.
And we're very bullish on STEM education and have lots of opportunities for students. That electronic technician program is part of the Next Level Jobs program. So, for example, a young woman who's interested in STEM education and might be interested in heading into battery technology, we have a housing scholarship that allows women in STEM to stay for free on our campus. And then with Next Level Jobs paying for that first year of education, the whole first year of college can be free with a residential experience. And I think we're all pursuing lots of opportunities to get more students out of programs like Project Lead the Way, out of programs that are in our career and technical education centers. And we certainly see battery technology as being an area of real growth for us.
Yeah, everybody knows Purdue does a lot of STEM education. It's very important. We do have even energy-focused degrees these days, namely, for example, somebody wants to do master, and that Master of Science degree or Master of Engineering degree could be focused on energy, where energy storage, energy harvesting could be main topic, where they get to work for 2 years, understand exactly what are the challenges, how to solve them, where we are up to. So lots of STEM things are happening at Purdue as well. Each and every proposal we wrote, almost 1/3 of the part we are talking about STEM.
Please thank our panelists. I think it was a great discussion.